TSA PreCheck, Global Entry, Clear, what are they? What are the differences between them? Which ones should you get? And how can you get all of them for free? I've personally traveled in the past with none of these, some of these, and I currently have all three of them and pay precisely zero. So let me share with you what I've learned about each of these services so that you can avoid the mistakes that I made. First of all, what are TSA PreCheck, Global Entry, and Clear, and what do each of them do for you? TSA PreCheck is expedited security screening at U.S. airports. So when you're at the airport, you'll see a regular security line and you'll see the TSA PreCheck line. And usually the TSA PreCheck line is shorter. Usually. More on that later. But the other benefit of PreCheck is you don't have to remove your shoes or your belts, and you can leave certain items in your bag like laptops and liquids, which just makes for a more convenient and stress-free travel experience. And typically, you can expect to fly through security in a matter of minutes. And applying for TSA PreCheck is fairly straightforward. You can just go ahead and apply online, and then you have to schedule a quick interview at one of their many enrollment centers, and once approved, you'll get a known traveler number, sometimes called a KTN. And the next time you book a flight, you'll enter that known traveler number on your booking so that that little TSA PreCheck symbol will show up on your boarding pass. And do make sure that you actually enter your known traveler number when booking or save it to your loyalty accounts, because I have had times where I had TSA PreCheck, but it wasn't on my boarding pass, and if it's not on your boarding pass, then you're out of luck. So do keep that in mind. Right now, TSA PreCheck is $78 or $85 depending on where you sign up, and your membership is valid for 5 years. So taking a few hours out of your day to drive to an enrollment center and get approved will be well worth it. But before you go ahead and do that, let's talk about Global Entry, because this is where that huge mistake that a lot of people make, myself included, comes into play. So Global Entry is expedited immigration into the US from international destinations, whether that be via plane, car, or a cruise ship. So the next time you arrive back in the US on an international flight, instead of waiting hours in extreme cases to talk to the one Customs and Border Patrol officer that happens to be working, you just walk up to a Global Entry kiosk, it takes a photo of you, and you will fly through immigration in seconds without having to even touch your passport in most cases.
All right, so just to prove my point, it's currently 8:55 p.m. We're about to re-enter the US through customs, so let's see how long it takes us to get through customs using Global Entry. And there you go. It is 8:56, so I think it took us longer to walk down the escalator than to actually get through Global Entry. And if you've ever gone through immigration before, then you know that sometimes those lines can be several hours long, so definitely worth getting Global Entry.
Now, you may be thinking, that sounds completely different than TSA PreCheck, which again is expedited security, and you would be correct. And maybe you don't even travel internationally very often, but what a lot of people don't know is that Global Entry comes with TSA PreCheck. Allow me to repeat that. Global Entry comes with TSA PreCheck.
How did I not know about that?
So when you apply and are approved for Global Entry, which is $100 and is valid for 5 years, although that price is going up to $120 soon, you will similarly get a known traveler number, which now allows you to zoom through US immigration, but that same known traveler number can be used to get that little TSA PreCheck stamp on your boarding pass. So all of that is to say, don't get TSA PreCheck. In my opinion, if you're gonna go through the application process and spend the money, then even if you're not sure about traveling internationally in the next 5 years, I would just go ahead and get Global Entry, since again, it comes with TSA PreCheck for just a couple extra bucks. One important thing to consider, however, is in general, getting a Global Entry appointment is not as easy as getting a TSA PreCheck appointment. The process is pretty much the same. You submit an application online for Global Entry. Once you're conditionally approved, you can then schedule your in-person interview, and if you're approved after your interview, you will then get that known traveler number, and you're good to go. But it's the scheduling of the interview here that can be the tricky part. Now, admittedly, that was not my experience, and when I applied for Global Entry, my wife and I were both able to schedule our interviews just a few weeks in advance without any problems. But because Global Entry has grown in popularity in recent years, largely because a lot of credit cards now offer this as a benefit, as we're going to talk about in a second, I have heard plenty of cases where people have had to wait 6 months or more just to get their Global Entry interview. So something to keep in mind, but the nice thing is you can go online and see where you're able to do your interview and what dates and times they have available. So if you can find one, again, I highly recommend that you just go ahead and get Global Entry over TSA PreCheck. We're going to talk about how you can get all of these services for free, but quickly let's talk about the new kid on the block, Clear. And let's just say I have a bit of a love-hate relationship with Clear. So remember how I said that TSA PreCheck allows you to go into a shorter security line and keep your shoes on and all of that good stuff? Well, Clear allows you to completely bypass the security line without even needing your ID in most cases, because they'll either scan your fingers or scan your eyes, which verifies your identity, and you then walk right past the security line. At least that's how it's supposed to work. The problem is that in order to really get the total benefit here, you really need to have Clear, which bypasses the security line, and TSA PreCheck, which allows you to keep your shoes on and your laptop in your bag and all of that stuff. And this has become such a popular combination that TSA PreCheck and Clear have literally partnered up to sell a bundle where you get your TSA PreCheck membership and your Clear Plus membership all for one discounted price. And a lot of airports now have completely separate lines for travelers who specifically have PreCheck and Clear. Sounds fine, but the problem, as this has grown in popularity, is that those separate lines for Clear and PreCheck are sometimes longer than the regular security line. I know that might sound crazy, and it's not always the case, but I've personally experienced this myself more times than I can count, and this isn't helped by the fact that Clear is by far the most expensive of these three services at a whopping $189 per year. Now, you are able to add additional family members to your account for just $50 per year, which I guess could help balance things out a little bit, but what I'm trying to say is when it comes to Clear, I could honestly take it or leave it. My home airport has a separate Clear line, at least for right now, so it still makes sense for me, but if you decide to get Clear, if you do see one of the signs at the airport that has Clear and TSA PreCheck, then don't just assume that that is actually your fastest option. All right, so hopefully I did a decent enough job of explaining the differences between these three services, since it can get a bit confusing. But to simplify things, I'd start with getting global entry, since again, that's going to come with TSA PreCheck, and then if you want to go ahead and get Clear, then go for it. But lastly, we have to talk about how you can get all of these for free using credit cards, and you might be surprised to learn that one of these cards may already be in your wallet. On the TSA PreCheck and global entry side of things, typically credit cards offer this as a combined benefit, and usually it'll say something along the lines of earn a $100 credit for global entry or TSA PreCheck, which is all the more reason to just go ahead and get global entry so that you can get both of these for free using that one credit. And to utilize these credits on any of these credit cards, all you do is go ahead and apply for global entry or TSA PreCheck, use that card to cover the cost, and they will then issue you a statement credit for that amount. Clear, on the other hand, doesn't have quite as many options, which is to be expected since this is the more expensive service. But again, some of the more popular options would be the American Express Platinum and Business Platinum cards, several of the Delta Sky Miles and United cards, which don't cover the full amounts but will cover a majority with a $149 Clear credit each year. And you also have less expensive options like the American Express Green card, which has an annual fee of just $150 but offers a full $189 Clear credit, which will more than cover that annual fee year after year. So if you're already paying for Clear, then you might as well just go ahead and get the Amex Green card, which is exactly what I did, because if you don't use any of the other benefits on this product, you're still gonna come out $40 ahead. So that means that if you had the $95 Capital One Venture card and the $150 Amex Green card, which by the way is already a solid, affordable two-card setup, those will give you hundreds of dollars in other benefits, and you'll get TSA PreCheck, global entry, and Clear completely covered by the credits on those cards, and hopefully make your next travel experience just a little less stressful. Hopefully this helped clear up
I see what you did there.
some of the confusion around TSA PreCheck, global entry, and Clear, but let me know what you think of these services down in the comment section. And if you want to check out any of the products that I mentioned throughout this video, then I'll leave a link down below the like button to our top travel credit cards page, where you can start working towards that next welcome offer and help support our mission here at Daily Drop of helping all of you experience life-changing travel. But as always, thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you next week.